All right, everyone. I want to thank you for coming in tonight and for joining the conversation. My name is Naama Segal Karis. I am a licensed certified life coach. I specialize in partnership and communication, dating, marriage, relationships, as well as being a shidduch negotiator, shidduch evaluator. So, what does that mean in real life? In real life, it means that I I act in such a way that I am able to mirror my clients so well that they are able to then see themselves clearly. It's a unique job and I love it. And I'm thrilled to be here tonight. Tonight is my first launching point for getting this new moon monthly coaching call off, you know, like launched from the dock. And I'm excited. I'm hoping that this lends itself to some growth. Tonight's theme is going to be around emotional intimacy and connection. So we're going to dive into that in a minute. Before we do, I want to remind everyone if you want more information about me, please find me at my website, naamasegal.com. That's NAAMAHSEGAL.com. And you're welcome to click the button, book a free session if you're interested in getting coaching as an individual, as a duo. I would love to connect with you and get to know you, get to know more about you, and ultimately see if we're a good fit in terms of coaching, in terms of being able to get some help for you and help you become better. Now, that generally speaking, you can find me. I'm also on WhatsApp. It tends to happen in the Jewish community here. So you can find me a lot of different places. And what we're going to talk about tonight, there's three items I wanted to touch on because I've seen this a lot in couples that have approached me in the last few years. And in particular, lately, there's been some serious drama that I've seen from folks, and it's interesting. I'm not completely sure what may be going on, but these 3 points feel very apropos. Um, and so I definitely feel like tonight's going to be the opportunity for us to dive into this a little bit. So if you have questions, please feel free to type it in the chat. And obviously, there's no such thing as a wrong question. There's certainly dumb questions. I've worked in tech support. But there's no such thing as a wrong question, and you're not going to shock me. So you're welcome to, jump in to ask a question. You can stay anonymous. That's totally fine. And, please know that I'm definitely for sure interested in what's going on with you. I want to know what's happening. I want to know how I can be helpful and be in service. Um, and just let me know what's going on. But we've got three specific topics tonight that I want to touch on. And to me, these are really kind of hot right now. These are very intense ideas that are affecting a lot of people. So, again, you can find me on Facebook. I'm actually streaming live on Facebook, and I'm obviously on Zoom. But I definitely want to remind you again, you can comment, you can ask questions, and if anything comes up, feel free. Also, when I talk about this stuff, unlike maybe therapists or counselors or clinical social workers or psychotherapists, I'm a life coach, which means if I think you're the problem, I'm going to tell you you're the problem. If I think you're looking at something wrong, I'm just going to tell you you're looking at it wrong. And sometimes I'm silk and sometimes I'm sandpaper, and that's okay. Take what serves you, leave the rest. I find that to be really important. So, tonight we're going to talk about three specific things, and in no particular order, we're going to get started. So, the first is that we're talking about emotional connection and intimacy. And obviously, like, this is involving a relationship between two intimate adults, two intimate consensual adults. And also, these tools and techniques and ideas and information apply to like all relationships, obviously. But I want to focus specifically on a partnership that you're in, a romantic or monogamous or whatever kind of partnership you define yourself in. This first piece of info is kind of non-negotiable. And basically it comes down to this. You can't connect with someone that you're performing for. So I'm going to say that again. You can't connect with someone that you are performing for. Now, this isn't the same as like this isn't the same as like you're a performer on a stage, you're a singer, you're an actor. That's not what I mean. You're supposed to connect to your audience if you're on a stage and you're singing and performing. Duh. I am talking about if you are married to somebody, or if you are common law married to somebody, or if you were in a long-term relationship with somebody, if you're on air quotes, if you are acting all the time, if you are not showing your authentic self and genuinely putting yourself out there with your full face, the good, the bad, warts and all, you are not going to end up in a situation where you're connecting, because that person is connecting to a ghost. They're connecting to an actor, a character, and that's not realistic, right? So let me tell you a little story. I had a client duo set once, and they were working with me off and on for several months. And they had the standard issue. They're fighting about stuff instead of actual issues. They're fighting about topics instead of ideas. Like they weren't getting to the meat and potatoes of the issue. Finally, during a session, I asked the wife point blank, I just heard you say XYZ. You've told me in the past that that is absolutely not something that interests you. Why did you just tell me that that's something that you're going to do? And she froze and she said, I don't like doing that. And I said, well, then why have you been? And she answered me honestly. She said, well, I'm doing it because I think that's what he wants from me. And I'm like, did you ask him if that's what he wants from you? And she goes, well, not exactly. I just assumed. And both me and the husband are like, really? Like our jaws are on the floor. Like, really? You assumed. So it turns out she was making up this character to present to her husband. So the visual that I like to paint for people is there's a show on Hulu. I think it's Hulu, or maybe it's Amazon Prime. Please don't at me. I don't remember. It's called The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, right? One of the first opening scenes of the first episodes is Mrs. Maisel waking up very early in the morning. It's the 50s, right? She's waking up very early in the morning, way before the sun comes up. She's a mess. Her hair is a mess. Her face is torn up. She runs silently into the bathroom, spends like an hour like primping in front of the mirror, making her hair gorgeous. And like putting on makeup and like putting cute things on, and then changes out of her schlumpy pajamas and like puts cutesy pajamas on, and and then lays down in bed and like delicately lays her head on the pillow. So when her husband can wake up and see her, he can see this gorgeous, perfect face. And to be fair, I've done stupid shit like that. Like when I was young, when I was dating, when I was, out and experiencing life, I pretended that I woke up gorgeous. We see it on social media all the time. We see people pretending to sleep with like mouth tape and they look like fucking aliens. Like that's what we see. That's not real life. And if you're trying to form a connection with your spouse and you're not showing who you really are and you're not being authentic, you're shooting yourself in the foot. So I really want to invite you to consider that if your relationship is that important to you, drop the mask, take the mask off. Now, that is hard as hell to do, especially if you're neurodivergent, especially if you've been masking a lot of your life, especially if masking and fawning have been a coping mechanism and a survival mechanism. It's going to be very challenging to drop the mask, but you're with someone that's supposed to be your partner. You're with someone who is supposed to be your safe person. So you're supposed to have no mask on. And this is one of those common sense things that nobody likes to hear. If the person who you're with, who you're married to, who you've committed to, who you are in love with, who says that they are your safe person, also expects you to hold back and not show your authentic self, they are not a safe person for you. Sorry. My husband and I have this running joke, like, I love you, Dafka. Excuse me. I love you, Dafka. Dafka is a word in Hebrew that basically doesn't have an exact translation, but it kind of means in spite of and because of. Um, and so it's basically, I love you in spite of who you are and because of who you are. I love you in spite of the fact that you're obnoxious and you talk over me, and because you are obnoxious and you talk over me. And like, these are the parts of ourselves that we hide from everyone in the world. Honey, I don't want you hiding this from the person who matters to you. I don't want you feeling like you have to, because then there is no intimacy, because one person is being authentic and the other one isn't. So drop the mask, be real. And here's the part that people forget: narrate what you are doing. Don't leave them confused and going, wow, like she's never like run her fingers through her hair this much. Oh my gosh, what is going on with her? Is she upset? Narrate for them and say, okay, so by the way, I'm just doing this because it's really soothing and it makes me feel comfortable. Just give them a heads up, say something, narrate your experiences so that the other like, they're not psychic. You need to explain to them what's going on. It's incredibly important. And again, I've had this conversation with my spouse. I've had this conversation with clients. Like, if you're going to be brave enough to take the mask down and be authentic with the people that, are really like your forever, your ride or die, your spouse, and we take that mask off, they're not psychically going to know why you're doing what you're doing. So whether it's needing to pace while you talk, needing to be held, needing to not be touched, needing to fidget, maybe knowing that conversations around money make you exceedingly nervous. So you have to have a cup of tea in front of you to hold on to, that's warm, that calms you down. Narrate why you are doing what you're doing if you've never shown this authentic side of you before, because they're not going to have a clue. They're just going to look at you and go, why the hell are you clutching that mug so tightly? Are you okay? Because they've never seen that side of you. So do them the courtesy of narrating that experience. After a couple times, they'll figure it out, God willing, right? So that's the first point for tonight: is you cannot connect with someone that you're performing for. And we don't want performative relationships. We don't want performative marriage. We don't want performative long-term relationships. Like, that's useless. And it ends up feeling transactional. And then you, the performer with your mask on, you feel like you're living a lie, and it literally can like crush you inside. I don't want that for you. Okay. So that's extremely important. So I want to point that out. Now, that being said, again, this is not a hard and fast rule. This is not like, what are you supposed to do in this case or that case? Obviously, like I said, I want you to type it in the comments, and let me know if you have thoughts on, sorry, I'm just answering one of the comments. Let me know if you have specific examples or whatever the case may be that, might be relevant, because, it's obviously something that can vary. And so, it's not a hard and fast rule. generally. And also, again, and comma, space, if you are neurospicy, these rules will be very difficult to do. They will not be simple. They will not be straightforward. There will be a lot of masking that has to be taken down slowly over time. There's a lot of self care that's going to be involved. But to build emotional intimacy, you have to show who you really are. You can't just pretend to be who they want you to be. And again, if they're telling you that they want you to pretend to be somebody else, that is not a safe person for you. Dr. Seuss had it right. The ones who mind don't matter, and the ones who matter don't mind. So we need to remember that when we're building this emotional intimacy and connection. And also, this applies to like any relationship. Like think about a business relationship, sales, you're trying to make a connection with a client. They need to know that you're being your real self. You're not going to be able to build rapport without it. So that's the powerful bullet point number one for tonight. For those of you that are joining early I can't talk tonight. For those of you who are joining me on Facebook and TikTok, for those of you who don't know, I'm Naama Segal-Karis. I'm a licensed certified life coach. Tonight is a free emotional intimacy and connection call, free coaching. If you have questions or comments, please put them in the chat. And if you want to book a session with me or connect with me, read my blog, listen to my 3 podcasts, God help me, feel free to check out naamasegal.com, naamahsegal.com. And my information is all over there, and I'm on social media. So I'm going to take a moment because I'm parched. The second bullet point that I wanted to, hey, Callie, come on in. Hey, Sophie, I wanted to bring up tonight with tonight's coaching call is that emotional intimacy, and I'm not talking about sex, I'm talking about emotional intimacy. Emotional intimacy is not, it doesn't begin in the bedroom. It begins in the nervous system. So what do I mean? Like, how do I find my nervous system? Like, where is the button for that? Like, how do I, it doesn't work like that, obviously. Our nervous system is a really gorgeous, beautiful, synchronous symphony inside of our system. And our nervous system is complex and complicated. It has 2 parts. It has the sympathetic part and the parasympathetic part. The sympathetic part, we have no control over. You can't control your heartbeat for the most part. You can't make it start and stop. You can't stop your blood flow. Like that's part of the sympathetic nervous system, no control. Your parasympathetic nervous system, you absolutely have control over. This is important. Come on in, guys. So when I talk about emotional intimacy, when I talk about taking your mask down and letting someone see deeply into you, that starts with your nervous system. So think about a time when you were trying to get intimate with your partner, whether you're having a vulnerable moment and you want them to like hold your hand, or you want to be held, or you are getting intimate in a more physical way, and the whole thing just goes left field, and it ends up awful, and it's, you could like feel like the car going like that intimacy is gone. And a lot of it has to do with not being in the right headspace, which really is not being in the right nervous system space. So there's a lot of that we could cover that. Like we could spend like weeks and months talking about like how to get into the right nervous system headspace, so to speak, in order to activate and actuate emotional intimacy. But what I can definitely say, and this applies to neurodivergent and neurobeige people, the nervous system component of intimacy involves preparation. And it's a joke that I make with my clients a lot. Like, are you fed and watered? Have you slept enough? Are you able to, have you decompressed from work? Have you decompressed from your kids? If you're a stay-at-home parent, are you touched out? Like, have you been touched too much today? If you're a mom and you're nursing a baby, have you been nursing all day long and you are done? Like, you want your body back, right? Um, have you not eaten today? Like, these are factors that make such a big difference to the stability and the homeostasis of our nervous system. And if they aren't addressed, we're not going to get to a place where we can be intimate with somebody else. So it's important to remember that there are a lot of things we can do to get control over it. We can think about the fact that we want to get into a state of intimacy. So, what do I mean by that? Thoughts become things, thoughts control reality. If I tell myself, I love my husband, I really want to connect with him right now. I've had a long day. I just want to connect with him right now. Like, he just means so much to me. I need to connect with him right now. I'm telling myself these are the orders. This is the instruction. That's the first step. Then the next step is to take a personal assessment real quick. Take 60 seconds and ask yourself. I mean, I have my check my six list that I give to my clients, which is ask yourself the questions. Hey, Hannah, come on in, sweetheart. Is this the right time, right tone, right topic, right person, right pace, right place? If we are asking ourselves these six questions and one of the answers is no, it means we're not going to get into a good emotional intimacy state. Like, literally, like, you may not, if you're in the middle of Walmart, you may not get into the right intimacy state because your nervous system may be activated because you're around a ton of people. So it's critical to ask yourself these questions. So number one, get into the right headspace by telling yourself, I want to be in this headspace of intimacy with my person right now. Tell yourself that that's what you want. The brain is a powerful thing. It'll believe whatever you tell it. So tell it, I want to be intimate with my person right now. I want to dive deep into connection with them. You can even do it by looking in the mirror, looking at yourself in the eye and saying it. It's powerful. That's why I lean on mirror work so much with my clients. So that's number one. And then number two, ask yourself the check your six, or ask yourself basic questions. Am I fed? Am I watered? Am I tired? Am I hungry? Am I grumpy? Am I hangry? Have I decompressed from my day? Am I touched out? Am I anxious? Have I taken my medication? Have I sat down and collected myself? Ask yourself some assessment questions. And then the third thing is meet those needs first. We cannot, it's that airplane joke. Like, you need to put your own mask on first before you can put your mask on someone else. You need to realign that intimacy with yourself before you're able to make an intimate connection with someone else. So if you're disconnected from self, forget intimacy. There's nothing there. You need to be realigned with yourself, right? That's a requirement. So once you've told yourself you want to have an intimate moment with your person, and you've checked to see if you're fed and watered and energetic and in the right state, and you've met those needs to get yourself into that state, take a breath. You may even be holding your breath right now. So don't hold your breath. Take a breath. And then decide you're going to connect. Put the frickin' phone down. I know it seems obvious. Put the phone down, not just silent, like silent and face down in another room. And then go up to your person and do whatever ritual it is that you guys have talked about. Whether that's a tap on the shoulder, a touch on the elbow, a hey, how are you? Whatever ritual you two have mutually agreed upon, initiate that intimacy. And if you're able, parentheses, neurospicy folks may not apply to this, but if you're able, make that deep eye contact. But again, none of this is going to be possible until we address our parasympathetic nervous system. So that's bullet point number 2. And if anyone has questions, comments, feel free to throw it in the comments. Because this is new information. Not everybody has this. Like, I wasn't taught this stuff when I was growing up. How was I supposed to know? I had to teach myself. So if anyone has questions or comments, feel free to throw it in there. Hey, Natalie, come on in. Wait, what? Mazel tov, b'sha'ah tova. I had no idea. Okay, yeah. So I had a comment come in, and it's basically like I'm very hormonal because I'm pregnant, and that may or may not affect intimacy. Yes, it can totally affect intimacy. Gentlemen, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. Like, you're not going to know what it means to be hormonal, and like that's not your fault, right? The closest you have is like if you watch a Pixar movie or like a Pixar short, like they're notorious for like sneaking up on you and making you cry. Like that's the closest you might feel, but you're never going to know the hormonal that a woman feels when they are pregnant and or have given birth and now they're postpartum. Um and so, oh, okay, so you have a system where you know that you need to take a minute and a lot of nights he gets you ice cream and you snuggle and watch TV. So that's a beautiful system. So if you're one of those people, you are pregnant, you are postpartum, you are somewhere in the zone, if you're in that 1 week out of the month, whatever it is, your hormonal needs will vary. Please take that into consideration. Please don't try to like power through. That's bullshit. Like, please take it into consideration. Your hormones are literal chemical messages that your body must follow. Like, you can't just like wish them away. It doesn't work like that. And so it's critical for the two of you to talk about it and discuss it and say, with all love in your heart, with all the love you have in your eyes and your heart, and look at the person and say, hey, I'm really hormonal right now. It's making me feel a little unsteady, uneasy, vulnerable, uncomfortable, confused, scared, nervous. Pick the feelings wheel from the internet and use many adjectives on your feelings wheel and describe what that hormonal feeling feels like in that moment. And then tell them what you need. Say, I'd like to, my parasympathetic nervous system feels really activated right now. I'm really hormonal right now. I feel activated because of XYZ. I need ice cream, a soft blankie, to be left the heck alone for 15 minutes, and then I'm happy to cuddle. Narrate for them what you actually need in concrete detail with adjectives and nouns and verbs, because they're not psychic. They're not going to know. So there, I've beat that horse to glue. Okay, so I'm going to take a second. If anyone else has any comments, feel free to throw them in the chat. Not trying to, but like it's important. Yes, 100%. The communication is unequivocally critical. If we don't have constant updates and constant communication, the relationship will suffer. Because, I joke with my husband, I'm psychic. I'm not that psychic. Like, I still need you to tell me what the heck is going on. Because at the end of the day, unless you've been married for 40 years, each of you is writing an owner's manual for the other person. Each of you is writing a how to handle, or chapter 12, handle with care, throw chocolate and run. Like, each of you in your marriage is writing these instructions. Hey, Moshe, each of you is writing these instructions for your partner. And if they're not telling you if they're emotionally activated, if they've had a difficult day, or what their needs are, how are you supposed to write your instruction manual? You can't, right? So let's remember that the nervous system is a very big component of what's going on when we develop intimacy. It also affects, again, like the physical sensations on our skin. It affects our ability to receive touch, light pressure, hard pressure. It affects our ability to feel comfortable with and without clothes on. It affects our ability to, take deep breaths and unclench our shoulders, unclench our jaw. Like, your nervous system affects all of it. And if you have past trauma, past abuse, a history of fight or flight, if you are neurospicy, all of these things can impact your capacity to bring your parasympathetic nervous I can talk parasympathetic nervous system to homeostasis. That was a long sentence. Okay. So, bullet point number 3. Emotional intimacy is built in tiny moments, not huge gestures. So I'm going to say that again. Emotional intimacy comes from many teeny tiny little moments of connection, not from one sweeping gesture. So this is relevant for a lot of reasons. One of those reasons is I believe that the fancy term these days is called love bombing. I hope and I pray that you're not in a relationship where you're being love bombed. But love bombing is a lovely example of someone attempting to bombard you with huge, grand gestures of love and affection and attention and all of the things that stimulate your dopamine. None of that's going to work. Not that it's not real, but it's not going to work to build real intimacy because it's super temporary. And yes, it's nice to get flowers. Yes, it's nice for them to buy your favorite candy. Yes, it's nice for them to buy you dinner. Yes, it's great for them to take you to your favorite place. That's wonderful. But the tiny things are so much more critical and so much more powerful than these huge gestures. So I'll throw it out there to the folks on TikTok and Facebook and on my Zoom. Give me some examples of some teeny tiny little things that your partners have done to make you feel that intimacy. And I'll wait for your comments, but I'll go first. One of the things that my husband does that I taught him to do when we first started dating, it's a teeny tiny little intimacy act, which I'm happy to share with everybody. We literally, when we can, we hold hands together at the table, even if it's just the two of us, and we look each other in the eye and we say, I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for you. And we hold that eye contact for a few seconds. And sometimes, like, I can't reach, we can't hold hands, whatever the case is, hey, Amanda, come in. And we can't hold hands, but we can still look at each other and say, I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for you. You matter to me. It sounds hella corny. It sounds so dorky to say, like, I'm grateful for you. Like, no, really. Like, these are the teeny tiny things. Teeny tiny things. What's another example of some teeny tiny moments of intimacy that your spouse, your partner does that makes you feel fantastic, that builds that intimacy? Oh, kiss on the forehead before hold on, wait, where'd my chat go? Oh, here it is. Hold on. Before he goes to work. Oh, that's so cute. I love that. Like younger, like 20-year-old me would have been like, why are you kissing me on the forehead? What am I, a baby? Like, clearly I'm older and wiser. Thank God. But I love that. I love that so much, Tori. That's so sweet and delicious. I love that for you. Him washing the dishes without asking him to. Okay, that right there is like super magic. Gentlemen, that's super magic right there. But also I would like love for anyone to do my dishes anytime, anywhere. Like I wouldn't care. Like that to me is like, I love you. Like we're married, the end. Let me see. He asked me, how's your breathing? Oh, I love that. That is multifaceted. So that first of all, there's the inquiry. There's just taking the time to ask a question of the person you love, not just like, hey, how are you? But like taking the time to ask a genuine question. Two, knowing that you have something going on with your breathing and he's inquiring on that particular thing because maybe it's a stressor for you. That's lovely. That's showing that they care. I was going to say, when my husband and I are washing our hands before we eat lunch or something, he always waits so that I can go to the sink and wash my hands first. It's just a thing he does. I've never asked him to do that. He just does it. And for me, like anytime I am getting up to get a drink, I'll ask him, "Hey, are you thirsty?" Some people would call that courtesy. Some people would call that manners. Some people would call that, good upbringing. It can be all of those things and it can build intimacy. ¿Por qué no los dos? Like it can be all of that. There's nothing wrong with that. There's a bajillion different things you can give as an example. But again, they're teeny tiny moments and it requires consistency. Hey, Cher, come in. Hey, MQ. You know, it's again, the flowers are great. The chocolate is great. The wine is great. Like that's all wonderful. But more importantly, like hey, I filled up your car with gas. Thank you. I hate having to do that. I just got my nails done. I don't want to mess up my manicure. Like whatever, and again, obviously this melds into your particular relationship and what your relationship dynamics are and what your love language is and well, what your love language of receiving and your love language of giving is, what their love language of receiving and giving is. But that's how you build this intimacy. It's not going to work by them buying you a house. Like that's love bombing. We're not doing that. I mean, obviously, like if someone wants to buy me a house, I'm not going to necessarily say no. At Kiddish, he always makes sure I get served for. He always makes sure I get served first, wine challah and the meal. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry. You're giving me such like goosey bumpies. I love it. Right? Like, and here's the thing: a lot of the relationships that I've seen, like, like relationships that are on the verge or they've already jumped the cliff, the shark, whatever. These tiny moments are gone. They're gone. Nobody's doing them anymore. You want to know why the relationship is over? People stop doing these things. That's why. You want the relationship to keep going. You keep putting in the effort and doing the teeny things. And like the Rebbe says, think good and it will be good. See the good, hakarat hatov, we say in Hebrew, see the good in every damn thing that happens. And even if it's just them putting the food on your plate first, heck yeah, that's lovely, or like, maybe they're like extra super schmooper duper hungry at Kiddish and like they're ready to faint from hunger or whatever. And like they really, really want to eat first, but they like, and they're like hangry and they're like ready to faint at the table and they're like slurring their bracha or whatever. And they still put that food on your plate first and they wait for you to take that first bite. Notice that. Like that's adorable. And maybe they're like begrudging. They're like, here, take your hola, okay? Take your wine. Like, thank you, sweetheart. That was lovely of you. Like, do it anyway. Say it anyway. Um, we don't necessarily need to force that partner to come to us with the correct intention. Sometimes the effort is enough. Not always, but sometimes the effort is enough. So, to sum it up, emotional intimacy is tiny moments. It is not giant gestures. We don't do sweeping gestures. We do tiny moments. That's way more effective and healthy. So just to wrap it up, again, the 3 points for emotional connection and intimacy. If you stayed this long, I love you. Thank you so much. Like and share the live. The 3 points for tonight are love and intimacy and connection are built on tiny moments, not grand gestures. Hey, every day, come on in, honey. Emotional intimacy and connection are built on tiny moments, not grand gestures. Emotional intimacy begins with your nervous system, not with your bedroom, with your nervous system. And that requires self awareness and attention. Hey, Danica, self awareness, attention, care, self care. Intimacy begins with your sympathetic, I'm sorry, your parasympathetic nervous system and being aware of yourself, right? And number three, you got to connect authentically and you can't wear a mask. If you're wearing a mask in your deepest, most intimate relationship, it's not that intimate. And if that other person is telling you that they expect you to hide all of you, they're not a safe person for you, because the person who is your person is the one who will be a safe harbor for you, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing. They need to be able to see you at your highest high and your lowest low and love you dafka, love you anyway. So that's what I got tonight. That's your free coaching call. I apologize to every single Jewish woman who is busy cleaning her house for Pesach, who I begged and pleaded to show up tonight. But thank you so much for being here. Again, you can find me um, everywhere. naamasegal.com, NAAMAHSEGAL.com. You can find my blog, my 3 podcasts, which I didn't even name. Oh my gosh. The first one is called Becoming Better with Naama, the podcast that teaches you how to become better every day, 1% at a time. The podcast number 2 is called Spells on Ourselves. It's the podcast that explores the secret sauce, the language of successful people, and what they tell themselves to get through difficult times. And the third podcast that I just recently launched, hey, Charlie, the third podcast is called How Do You Jew, the podcast that explores and highlights the diversity of the Jewish experience so that we can increase Achdut Israel. And please, God, let us get to Geula immediately. So please feel free to check out my website. My blog is on there. My podcast is on there. Podcasts are on there. And you can book a free session if you feel like you want to continue this coaching. I would love to connect with you. I always offer first session free, and we can see if we're a good fit. And this monthly call will be Rosh Chodesh New Moon every month. Free relationship coaching from a licensed certified life coach, and Shidduch evaluator. and yeah, so just remember, real love isn't found, it's built. One brave, messy, honest moment at a time. I'll see you at the next one. Have a good night, everybody.